Hello, hello, hello. Let me make sure that I am live. One moment, guys. Let me check my Facebook to see that I'm live. How are you guys doing today? It's Friday, so it's time for another episode of Behind the Highlight Reels. Let me know if you are in the building, if you're live. All right, so I'm live. I guess I'm in here. All right, so today we have a phenomenal guest. I'm super excited, y'all. So today is going to be episode 3. And oops, sorry. Trying to look at myself. Just in case, because sometimes technology don't want to give you the perfect synopsises or situations. But just in case I see comments. So today we have Chanel Spencer with us today. She is, y'all, I met this young lady with Taria through Taria Avant. So if you know Taria, she has a lot of powerhouses that is following her and connected with her. But I met her and she ended up in one of my Fire Fear courses. She has so much going on, y'all. I'm super proud of the things that she has done. She is the CEO of Maximum Evolution, y'all. She is a 6-time best-selling author. She has a publishing company called ME Publishing. She has 2 small children that motivate her. So y'all know, if you are a parent, that having children pushes you and drives you. But y'all, she's going to show us today what it really took to go from transitioning to a CEO of her company. But she started off in corporate. And a lot of people, y'all think that, oh, well, I want a corporate job or whatever. Okay, she's going to tell y'all how to move from that corporate job where you're making this money to being a CEO. And she's going to tell us the truth. Y'all know this entire series is about what happens behind the highlight reels. Chanel is going to tell us the nitty gritty, the down and dirty about what goes on making that transition, okay? So welcome, guys, Chanel Spencer.
Hello, beautiful people.
Wait,
can you hear me?
Okay, there we go. We can hear you. Yes, we can hear you.
Hi.
Hey, girl, how are you?
I'm well, and yourself?
So,
you're fabulous.
I am good. Thank you. You too. You know, it takes beauty to recognize beauty.
Listen, okay.
All right. So, I know today you are here to tell us what it takes to go from corporate, because leaving corporate, a good corporate position is, I know, is already a difficult thing to do. So I want you to go ahead and tell me pretty much how you got to where you are now. Like, give us a little backstory about who you are, what you're doing, what's going on.
Okay, well, first, I'm from the lovely city of New York. So before I became a full-time entrepreneur, I was a general manager for a hotel. I worked for a hospitality company for about 10 years, actually. So I started as a GSA and grew and worked hard, like a psycho, because I love to succeed. I hate to be in the same place by the same time next year. I have to be in a new place, in a new position, making more money, whatever it needs to be. So I always challenge myself in that way. So I was a regional accounting manager for the company. I was an accounting manager before that. And then my goal was to become a general manager. So I was an AGM for about 1.5 years, and then I was promoted to general manager. That was my ultimate goal. And it was amazing. It felt really good to achieve the goal, because sometimes things feel unattainable for various reasons, things that are out of your control, things that, happens in the corporate climate, in regards to being a woman, in regards to being a woman of color. There's challenges that you may face because of that, unfortunately. But this company, they were really great in that. They were very supportive. I joined the mental development program. So that's what helped me to get to the road of becoming a general manager. For me, it was just like, it's great. I loved it. And I felt like I achieved my biggest dream. Well, one of my biggest dreams. But then I wasn't happy, honestly. I was making the 6 figures. I was traveling. I had like financial freedom. It was great. Like, it was great. For some, it would be like, oh my gosh, you're so successful. Why aren't you happy? I was miserable, like literally. And that was a main part of why I chose to focus on my company, because it was just a lot of things that were happening behind the scenes. I was dealing with a lot of stuff within my hotel. I had 75 employees. I had a $19 million revenue that I was responsible for our hotel to make annually. I had expenses. I was responsible for everything. And I was super young. I was like in my 30s. I was 30 by the time I became a GM. And still having 2 children, it just was a lot, honestly. And it just became a decision between the job and myself. And I just had to choose myself for once. Like, I sacrificed everything. I put everything to the back burner. I put my health, my mental space, my emotional space to the back burner. And it just was like, it's time for me to choose me, honestly.
So I know you were saying about some of the things that you went through with corporate. So let's be real. What were some of the advantages of working for corporate versus the disadvantages? Give us a little inside peek.
Okay, so first I worked for Hilton. So I would travel. Like, I love to travel. That's one of my self-care. I need to do that. Like, I'm going insane not being able to travel like outside of the country. Like, I love that. Like, so I'm like now reminiscing and like looking at old pictures, trying to relive the moments, right? But it was the one, what I was being paid financially. It was great. It was consistent money. So I didn't have to worry about selling to somebody to make sure that I could pay a light bill, if that makes sense.
Right.
It was consistent money. It was the perks of being a GM for a Hilton property. So I got points. My rates were extremely low. So one time I went to Bangkok for a night and it was $55, like stuff like that. The health insurance for sure. As a GM, they covered my medical, and it was like legitimately like $1,000 a month. So there were benefits in that. It was expensive for their medical. So they covered my medical. The bonuses, please. Like, yes, girl, okay? Like 30-40% of your salary.
Right. Okay.
For that, I appreciate it. Well, it was based off hotel performance, and I was like, we need to win. So I made sure that my team and myself got our bonuses for sure. And it was also just it was a form of independence because I was the highest level. I was the CEO of my hotel ultimately. Right. So I had a little bit more freedom of my time, not necessarily on the hours that I work. So I worked like 14-hour days majority of the time, but in regards to what I'm doing, what I'm managing, and what I want to focus on for that day, if that makes sense. So,
right. So tell me now, when you are, and if y'all hear some noise, the dogs are playing, so tell me now what it's like for you being a CEO of your company. Like, what is the difference with that being, okay, you went from making all this money to now, you by yourself. So you got to make money.
Yeah. Yes. It's a challenge, and I will say it's a challenge more because I have to transition out of a corporate mindset into an entrepreneur mindset. You have structure, you have some form of structure, you have SOPs, you have things in place that you're just kind of walking into and you're managing. Whereas when you're an entrepreneur, you're literally starting from scratch. Like, you're literally figuring out what you want to do, how you want to do it. If you decide you don't want to get up today, this is the benefit. If you decide like, I don't feel like doing it today, you can be like, girl, I'm just going to watch Queen of the South for the rest of the day. And that's it. That's the benefit of your time. But it's a challenge because then you are accountable for your time. You're no longer under somebody else or have a direct report. Like, you are it. So you are the face of your business. You are the driving force of your business. So if you don't show up, then it's just not gonna right. So it's challenging in that way, but the form of freedom that you have is just it's unreal. Like it's like unreal.
So, okay, we talked about like those types of things. So tell me, was there one, I guess, event or situation that happened that was like, you know what, this is the last day. Yeah. Like corporate, you got it. Even thank you for Hilton for taking me around the world, but I got this on my own now. What was that for you?
So I am very, very dedicated and very self-motivated to a fault sometimes. So I like burned myself out like to the ground. Like you don't understand. Like I was literally working like 14-hour days, 7 days a week, whether I was on property, whether I was in my house. I went away for vacation in England, and the entire time, granted, when I went, it was month end, so I had to do like executive summaries and looking at my P&L and all that stuff. And then it was budget season as well, so I'm now preparing the budget for 2020, and it's a lot, right? So when I left, I went at the wrong time, essentially, but I worked the entire time that I was in England, and the trip wasn't free. And I had my daughter and my sister, and they just looking at me like, all right, so it's 5:30. Are we going to go do something now? And I'm like, and then I was dealing with things behind the scenes with team members that were making my job 10 times harder, because there are a lot of people that have the crab in the barrel mindset that aren't happy for your success and like praying for your downfall. That I was dealing with sexual harassment behind the scenes. It was just a lot happening. And so when I got back, I was just like, yeah, I don't have any more to give to you guys. Like it's either the job or myself. And it's like, I'm burnt out mentally, I'm burnt out emotionally, I'm burnt out mentally, I'm burnt out physically. It was just time. It was just time. And I'm like, it's no longer passion driven. It's more of, I have to, I no longer had that excitement and that drive for it anymore. And I was like, I could just take my time and invest it into my own business and build my own legacy and leave that to my children. You know what I mean? So that was the turning point for me, honestly.
So let's talk about this time. Now, I have went from working in the workforce to being a CEO and working for myself for years. And I actually went back into the workforce, which that's a whole nother show to talk about that. But tell me, for me to even the first time that I stopped working for the workforce, like that job security, I was like, okay, did you do it the first time when you was like, this got to go? Or did you, take a couple steps back? Did it take you a couple times to say like, I'm quitting today? And then like, for example, let me just tell mine. So today it would be like, today they done pissed me off. I'm ready to go. I'm quitting today. I wrote my letter of resignation. I'm about to press in, and I'm like, I don't know, but that paycheck about to come. I ain't gonna have no paycheck. Okay, wait a minute, let me think about it. Okay, I'm gonna get them one more time. Like, so it took me a little while for me to jump and be like, you know what, today is today, because it's either I'm going to jail or I'm working for myself. So you have like those moments where you was like, okay, it took me a couple times, or was you just like, first time's here, I'm here? I don't know.
It took me like a good 7 to 8 months, maybe a little bit longer. Like I felt like I was in a borderline abusive relationship, honestly. Like I was just like, I'm tired of this. This is ridiculous. And then I'm like, dang, but
I'm so glad that you said that. Yes. It really is like an abusive relationship, because you are giving me everything I need, but you also giving me all this other stuff that I don't need. Like you abusing me right now. You taking advantage of me. You like, I am a queen though. I don't deserve this. But then
you
wait a minute. That paycheck.
You like that paycheck? Oh, then the kids, and then my kids in private school. I'm like,
So, okay, when you made that step out of it, what type of things did you have to take into consideration? Because you talked about your kids going to private school. Like, where did the shift happen? What changed for you? Did they still get to go to private school? And if they did, like, how did you handle that type of thing? How did you prepare?
Well, for me, I was saving for a long time. I was with the company for 10 years. So I had some money to the side. So that kind of helped the transition for like a few months. I'm not even going to lie to you. So having some form of plan, like like when I made the decision, it was semi impulsive kind of, but ultimately it was something that I was battling with for months. Like it's kind of like similar, like in a relationship where you start to mentally check out, but you're still physically there.
Yeah.
So I'm a planner, and I was semi freaked out. I'm not gonna lie to you, because I'm just like, I always know what my next step is. I always know what my next goal is. I know where my next money's coming. I just know, like I plan, like I want to make this by this year. And so when I left, I was like semi freaked out. But I had a financial plan to say, okay, I know this is gonna come in. I know that's gonna come in, and I just have to plan that money to survive, if that makes sense. And that's what kind of helped me. And I had to make shifts with how I spent, because I love, a little retail therapy, and I love to go on trips and just do what I want. So I had to shift from that too. So I had to remove the luxuries that I enjoyed and indulged in all the time, that I loved, like every single day, just going shopping and getting a nice little shirt or little shoes. So I had to kind of cut back on expenses and figure out what was really truly something that was a necessity versus a luxury, or something that was just a want. Oh, I think you froze. Oh, I think we lost her. I mean, I could do a performance in the meantime. On the single ladies. No, I'm just kidding. But just for those who are listening, it is a challenge when you do leave corporate. It is hard for you to. It's a challenge. You have to figure out your own processes now. You have to figure out your own structures. You have to hold yourself accountable. And what I did was I literally did a lot of personal development, because I had to shift my mindset from the corporate to entrepreneurship. But at the same time, I had to shift my mind personally and figure out what it is that I needed to change with how I do things on a day-to-day basis. Because if not, then there would be no level of success, because now you have to hold yourself accountable. Now you have to figure out your own plan. Now you have to figure out what your next move is. You have to figure out who your market is. You have to figure out who your client is, what it is that you even want to do, what it is that you want to put out there. And it's hard, but as long as you stay focused and you continue to work hard and have the drive and the want for it, just make it happen. And that's why I joined the rest of Fire Fear, because I knew that I still needed to develop personally. I still had some changes that I needed to make in order to truly be the person that I wanted to be, and to have the level of success that I wanted. I had to make changes. I had to make shifts, and it's an ongoing process. It's a never ending process. And it was the same thing within corporate, where I had to change myself year after year after year to become and shift into the person that I needed to be for that particular role. So when I was a GSA, I didn't have the same mentality that I had when I was a general manager, right? So in the same thing in entrepreneurship, you have to make mental shifts, you have to make emotional shifts, you have to make physical shifts, and you have to hold yourself accountable, because at the end of the day, it's literally your show and you are running it, and you are the CEO of the show ultimately. So you want to make sure that you get things in place. And it's okay to have down days. Trust me, I am not perfect. I have been off the radar for the past couple of weeks, but that was more because I needed to do physical self-care, which is super important. And that's what truly helped me. It was to understand that, one, I'm human. Don't compare yourself to others, because listen, social media is great. It is great for business, but the downside is then you also see others' success and where they are and where you aren't, and it can kind of be discouraging, and it kind of could be frustrating, and you don't want to lose yourself and become disappointed or become frustrated or give up because of what you see somebody else is doing or where you aren't. Sometimes what you're comparing yourself to is a 10-year story versus your 1-year story. And I'm saying that because I'm speaking from experience. You know what I mean? Like, I've always had instant success. I've always gotten what I wanted. From a corporate perspective, and entrepreneurship is literally like getting to the nitty gritty, starting from -0. if that's even a real number, right? But you literally have to make the decision that you want more for yourself. You have to make the decision that your company and what you're building, because you're building a legacy for yourself, for your children, if you have, for your future children, for your family, and keep that as your motivation to keep moving forward. Even if you're terrified, let me tell you something. There are several projects that I'm working on. There are several things that I've done that is completely new to me. And I just was like, I don't care. I'm going to do it, because at the end of the day, you have to push through your fear. You have to push through your doubts. You have to push through any negative thoughts that you may have that are going to come, regardless of what. Even the top of the top have those moments where they're afraid and where they're terrified. Trust me, I heard it from Beyonce herself. So you want to make sure that you continue to push forward and understand that you're going to have trials, you're going to have you're going to have wins, you're going to have losses, you're going to have challenges. You may have some failures, but it's okay. It's okay to fall backwards. It's okay to fail, as long as you get back up again and you do what you need to do, right? It's super, 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 super important. Super important. So, in being an entrepreneur and achieving your goals and achieving your dreams, you just have to remember that you are phenomenal. You are amazing. You are put on this earth for a purpose. And whether it is for you to be in corporate, there's nothing wrong with that at all. I promise you there isn't. I was in it for a very long time. If it's for you to be an entrepreneur, just do it, and do it to your best ability. Do it to your number one capacity, and understand that you deserve it. And that's another piece too, in regards to being an entrepreneur. You want to make sure that you understand where you are mentally, in the sense of your worth, in the sense of self-care, in the sense of your values, and setting boundaries, all of that good stuff. Like, yes, you want to be a CEO, but you have to make sure that you take care of yourself first, because if you don't, then none of this is going to matter anyways. So it's super important to love on yourself, to forgive yourself, to set boundaries. For real, let me tell you something, because you have clients that they don't understand boundaries. They text you, call you, email you at all times of the night. No. You need to set healthy boundaries so that you can continue to be successful and have your own space, because you are important. You are the face of the company. You are what is the driving force. So you want to make sure that you continue to push forward. Give me 1 second. It's super important. 1 second. I don't know what happened, and I just didn't want to leave. Oh, it's so hot. I don't know about you, but I am hot, yeah. But anyway, yes. I'm just waiting to see what the rest wants me to do. So super important, before I go, personal development. Make sure you invest in your personal development. When I say that, I'm talking about your mindset. I'm talking about you mentally, emotionally, physically, spiritually, financially. Make sure you invest in developing your mindset, developing yourself personally. Make sure you invest in your business and learning. So in these past few months, what I did was focus on literally, what do I need to learn? What systems do I need to use? What information do I need? So I've invested in the educational piece of entrepreneurship so that I could expand my horizons and learn things that I didn't necessarily know. So I hooked onto virtual mentors like Taria, Theresa, Stevie. I have an executive coach as well. That's super important to have a life coach, because it helps you to kind of give you the focus and the direction that you may not necessarily have, but need, as well as a third person's perspective, because you no longer have that structure that you had from a corporate perspective. So you want to make sure that you are investing in your growth as well, mentally, emotionally, educationally, in all areas, so that you can truly be successful in your business. And the same with comparison. Do not compare yourself to other people. Yes, there are some people that have success, but you don't know what's happening behind the scenes. Hence behind the highlight reels. You never know what someone's going through. You don't know what it took for them to get there. You don't know what challenges they face. Some share, some don't. So don't compare yourself to others. Compare yourself to where you were last year, yesterday, today, not to who you see on Instagram, not to who you see on Facebook, not to what somebody tells you, because some people lie. That's another conversation. So you want to make sure that you don't compare yourself to anybody else, and also surround yourself with the right people. When I say the right people, people that are 10 steps ahead of you, people that have similar mindsets to you. Do not be around crab in the barrel mindset of people, because it will literally hold you back, or they may be smiling in your face and doing something else behind your back. So make sure that you have the right people, the right support system around you that believe in your dreams, that will cheerlead you as you succeed, and help you and support you in your wins, as well as anything that you may have failed or feel like you failed, because sometimes we're our own worst critics, right? And so make sure you have the right people, the right circle, the right mentors, the right coaches, the right people around you to help you to elevate and push you forward. That's super, super important. But I thank you all for your time. It's been great. I think I see the rest of us back, but I think she's still frozen. Hold on, something's happening. I didn't want to leave. Yeah, are you here? Wait, I think she's gone. I was trying to hold down the fort while you were going, girl. Wait, are you there? Can you hear me? I'm telling you, technology is great, but it's also your worst enemy. Oh, sorry. My gosh.
Can you hear me, Chanel?
I can hear you, but you're frozen.
Oh, look. Am I frozen now?
It's like you're doing the mannequin challenge a little bit.
Okay. So you can.
Girl, I went on a rant. I didn't just want to just leave. I was like, okay, she's probably gonna pop back in. So I just kind of just spoke a little bit. And then I was like, okay, she'll pop in. I know she will.
Some of it. I heard some of it. I was like, okay, yes, girl. Okay. So she about to had a whole broadcast by herself. But I was y'all, I don't understand. Let me tell you something. When you are on your path, things will come, especially technology. And I am so glad that people were able to witness this moment, because this could have been a time where I would have been like, forget it, we quitting.
Right. I didn't want to leave this, like the broadcast is there. So I'm like, let me just, hold the fort down. I know technology is so innovative and great, but then it has moments where it's just like, really, in this second, in this moment, like, so.
Trying to do this, I was all up in our conversation. But wait a minute now. And then, so now, this is why it's important. Like, I'm glad that you was mentioning the people that you're surrounded by. This is why it's important. People in your corner that's going to push you to keep going. Because my good friend Angela, who I'm over here at her house, she's like, what do you need me to do? Use my laptop, use whatever for us to get this done.
Right.
So, and I'm glad that you were here to keep going, to do what you needed to do, to let us get this information. Like, y'all, this is live. This is real. Like, I wanted to broadcast behind the highlight reels, and y'all got nothing.
Right, real life. Right.
Like, this was so good. I don't even know what all you covered, because some of the stuff I was trying to listen to, and then some was like typing in stuff, trying to log in different platforms.
Yeah.
But I know you about mindset shifts, personal development, your people. I wanted to ask you about leadership, because you're a leader in your corporate position, but now you are also a leader as a CEO. Can you tell me the importance of having integrity when it comes to leadership, and what has been like the difference in leadership from corporate to CEO,
right?
Besides on leader.
So for me, the difference is literally I was leading a bunch of people. And now I'm kind of leading myself and my business, meaning like I'm leading these files, I'm leading these clients, I'm building the structure. So now I'm literally building the foundation myself. So making sure that I have integrity embedded and my values embedded in every area of my business. Whereas when I was in corporate, it was already set up that way. So I had to kind of just lead a whole team while still keeping the integrity of their SOPs, their rules, their policies up to standard. You know what I mean? So now you're kind of leading and building your own standards, your own SOPs, your own foundation, your own structure. And so that's kind of the difference, where you are literally, you have other people depending on you that aren't necessarily related to you. You know what I mean? Like you're responsible for their level of success, but now you're responsible for your level of success, as well as building your future and building your own legacy. You know what I mean? So you're leading your own story, whereas when you're in corporate, you're kind of leading your story, yes, but you're building somebody else's ultimately.
Right. So, okay, everybody wants to be an entrepreneur. People don't realize that this out here is not easy at all. It ain't for everybody. It's not for the weak. Like it ain't for the, and it ain't for just the strong. It's for the determined. It's Absolutely. For the best of the best. It's for the thick-skinned. What has been the hardest transition, like the hardest part of this transition for you?
For me, honestly, it was more on a personal level. I went through a lot of different challenges from a corporate perspective, and I went through a lot of challenges personally. So I needed to do my own personal development with like my mental health, my emotional health, and my physical health to truly become who I needed to be in order to be a successful CEO. So that's what I was kind of talking about before, where like we all go through things, traumas, different challenges that we face. And sometimes it literally dictates who we are as an individual, what the decisions that we make, the decisions that we don't make, what we decide to do, what we don't decide to do. And when you're in an entrepreneur position, like at the end of the day, it shows 10 times more where you are, where you aren't mentally, emotionally, physically. Whereas in the corporate space, you can kind of mask it a little bit more by just making sure you get your deadlines done, making sure that you know what I mean? And so that was the hardest part for me, because I had a lot of self-work that I needed to do so that I could shed who I was for the past, I don't want to say my age, but whatever, 33 years of my life. Like, you know what I mean? Because it got me that far. It got me to general manager, but ultimately I had to literally shed that person, because it's not those values and those things that I did got me far, but it is not going to get me to the next level in the next chapter of my life. So the transformation was the hardest part, honestly.
Listen, I will tell you, for me, when I went from my transition from the working workforce to CEO, I had this whole mindset of entrepreneurship. And for me, I was like, girl, I'm about to be my own boss. I get up when I want to. I do what I want to. You always answer to somebody. You get what I'm saying? I love how people are transparent when they are telling people, like, if you don't answer to a boss, then guess what? You answer to your clients, you answer to this money, you answer to those bills, like you answer to somebody. But I think that it's so important for us to share what it's taking. And like we was talking about earlier, if you don't want to get up, you don't got to get up. But then on the back end, that consequence is more on you. Like you don't have nobody to leverage. But so I think it's important to tell that part of entrepreneurship. So I'm glad that you mentioned that. Let's talk about how to know if it's not time for you to make that transition, because I absolutely love that you said you had a plan and you thought about it. So many times we do things, and my bad, y'all, because I gotta hold my phone right now. So many times we do things and we do it out of emotions, but it's important to leave that emotional part out of it when it comes to making a life transition like this. Tell me about, like, what is, how do I know if it's not for me, or how do I know that, you know, this is for me, but I need to do more? Because, like, for example, one of my coaches, her name is Amber Aziza. She is phenomenal, and she talks about her transition.
And she didn't take that. Hers was emotional. I'm done. Like, she walked in that day and some things happened. I ain't gonna tell her story, but y'all need to follow her so you can get her story. And she left that day, right? But she'll always tell people, like, don't just leave, you know, without thinking about a paycheck, making a plan. How important is that plan in making this transition? And how do I know, like, maybe this transition ain't for me right now? Like, let's talk about that.
Well, for me, I had a plan, but I didn't have a plan. It was impulsive, but I had, like, the funds that I had wasn't necessarily because I'm like, I'm going to be an entrepreneur. Like, you know what I'm saying? It was just because I'm a planner. Like, I always figure things out. Like, you know what I mean? And I always look to the future versus the moment. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I'm already, like, I always try to be 10 steps ahead. I like to have a resolution for a problem that I didn't even know was going to exist. Right. For some, sometimes the impulse is important because there are certain things that you may be dealing with. Like, for me, it was impulsive in the sense of I just could no longer take it. Like, it was like literally myself or the job, like, no exaggeration. It was just like, okay, like you have to at some point choose yourself, right? But it is important to have a plan, because at the same time, in making those impulsive decisions, like you said, you still have bills, you still have responsibilities, you still have things that you have to be responsible for. So it's like devil's advocate a little bit. And everybody's situation is different. Like, you know what I mean? Like, for me, I made an impulse decision, some semi-impulse decision, but I already had a back end plan that was already kind of set up already, right? So you want to make sure that you have finances that can help you, because sometimes you might not get a job the next day if you're leaving a corporate job to go to another job. Sometimes you might have a plan in regards to entrepreneurship and it doesn't pan out. So you just want to have some kind of financial backing so that you can you can still survive ultimately. You know what I mean? Like, you don't want to make a decision and then all of a sudden, like, you're now homeless because you left the job. Like, you know what I mean? On an impulse decision. So you just want to make sure that it's the right moment and the right time for you. I can't tell you what that time is ultimately, because we all have our own paths and our own challenges and our own things that we're going through. But ultimately, having a plan, okay, I have money that's going to last me for the next 3 months or a month, whatever it is, just having something in place so that you're not now scrambling and freaking out because you don't know what's next.
Right. So I'm glad that you said that you had a plan without even realizing that you pretty much had a plan for leaving. Right. Because it's important for us to save and have that some type of funding to cover us if something ever happens. And I know, like, I have a couple guests that'll be on in some of the next episode that's gonna talk to us about savings and things like that. But y'all heard her say plan. Like, even if you make that impulsive decision, your next step after you feel like, oh, walked out the door, you know, who are some of the key people in your life that helped you make some? Am I losing you again? Hello?
I can hear you. You're going in and out. It's a bit choppy. There you are. And you're kind of gone. If you're on Wi-Fi, if you're on your phone and you're on Wi-Fi, I say Wi-Fi because from the hotel. So, yes. Wi-Fi. If you're on, are you on Wi-Fi?
I think that we're still having to. Hello. Can Can you hear me?
I can hear you
now.
Yes.
So I'm breaking up.
Yeah.
Okay. So this is what we're gonna do, y'all.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to, I guess this is the good thing. We're going to go ahead and end this episode, right? So then afterwards, I'm gonna talk to Chanel, and we're going to play maybe a Q&A or another one to talk about, because I know that there's some people out there, a lot of people that want to know about this transition and this shift, and even help how to plan for this, and even how to get involved with you, Chanel, for helping with their business as they're doing right now. So before we end, go ahead and tell the people, the great people, how they can get in touch with you.
So my website is www.readytotransformnow, because we need to do things now. So everything that I have is now. So my Instagram and my Facebook is Chanel Spencer Now, because you need me now, not tomorrow, right now. And you need to take action now. And my business Instagram is Maximum Solution.
Did you hear? Let me just put your...
Can you hear me? I mean, you're sitting pretty. You know, you look cute, but you're just a little frozen.
All right, so I did it up there for us. So if you don't see if showing, then I'll put it up there.